Hey everyone, welcome back to Read Along Saturday, and we are still continuing with The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli, and this is the last episode for this book. So let us continue. Chapter number 24, Why the Princes of Italy Have Lost Their States. The previous suggestions, carefully observed, will enable a new prince to appear well established and render him at once more secure and fixed in the state than if he had been long seated here. For the actions of a new prince are more narrowly observed than those of a hereditary one, and when they are seen to be able to gain more men and bind far tighter than ancient blood, because men are attracted more by the present than by the past, and when they find the present pretty good, they enjoy it, seek it no further. They will also make the utmost defense of a prince if he fails them not in other things. Thus, it will be a good glory for him to have established a new principality and adored and strengthened it with good laws, good arms, good allies, and with a good example. So will it be a double disgrace to him who, born a prince, shall lose his states by want of wisdom. And if those seigneurs are considered who have lost their states in Italy in our times, such as the King of Naples, the Duke of Milan, and others, there will be found in them, firstly, one common defect in regard to arms, from the causes which have been discussed at length. In the next place, some one of them will be seen either to have the people hostile, or if he has had the people friendly, he has not known how to secure the nobles. In the absence of these defects, states that have power enough to keep an army in the field cannot be lost. Philip of Macedon, not the father of Alexander the Great, but he who was conquered by Titus Quintinus, had not much territory compared to the greatness of the Romans and of Greece who attacked him. Yet, being a warlike man who knew how to attract the people and secure the nobles, he sustained the war against his enemies for many years. And if in the end he lost the dominion of some cities, nevertheless he retained the kingdom. Therefore, do not let our princes accuse fortune for the loss of their principalities after so many years of possession, but rather their own sloth, because in quiet times they never thought there could be a change. It is a common defect in a man not to make any provision in the calm against the tempest. And when afterwards the bad times come, they thought of flight and not by defending themselves, and they hope that the people, disgusted with insolence of the conquerors, will recall them. This course, when others fail, may be good, but it is very bad to have neglected all other expedients for that. Since you have never wished to fall because you trusted to be able to find someone later on to restore you, this again either does not happen, nor if does, it will not be for your security, because the deliverance is of no avail, which does depend upon yourself. Those only are reliable, certain, and durable that depend on yourself and your valor. Machiavelli lays out few examples or reasons why the princes or the rulers lost their power to the foreign invaders in Italy. Machiavelli argues that the Italian princes, like the King of Naples and Duke of Milan, lost their states not due to bad fortune, but due to their own failings and lack of virtue. 3 points he points them out are: they relied on mercenary or auxiliary armies instead of building their own loyal forces, this most fundamental mistake and a recurring theme in The Prince. They failed to secure the loyalty and goodwill of the people. This made them vulnerable to both internal conspiracies and external attacks, as the peoples have no incentive to defend them. Third, they did not anticipate problems in peacetime and were unprepared for adversity. Instead, they hoped that things would improve on their own and or the others would come to their aid. Machiavelli scoffs at the idea of the princes believing they will be saved by a safety net or by others, stating that the only good, certain, and lasting defenses are those you rely on yourself and your own virtue. Next, chapter number 25, What Fortune Can Effect in Human Affairs and How to Withstand Her. It is not unknown to me how many men have had and still have the opinion that the affairs of the world are in such wise governed by fortune and by God that men, with their wisdom, cannot direct them and that no one can help them. And because of this, they would not have us believe that it is not necessary to labor much in affairs but to let chance govern them. This opinion has been more credited in our times because of the great changes in affairs which have been seen and may still be seen every day beyond a human conjecture. Sometimes pondering over this, I am in some degree inclined to their opinion. Nevertheless, not to extinguish our free will, I hold it to the true that fortune is an arbiter of one half of our action, but that she still leaves us to direct the other half, or perhaps a little less. I compare her to one of those raging rivers, which when in flood overflows the plains, sweeping away the trees and buildings, bearing away the soil and place to place. Everything flies before it. All yield to its violence without being able in any way to withstand it. And yet, though its nature be such, it does not follow therefore that men, when the weather becomes fair, shall not make provision, both with differences and barriers, in such a manner that rising again the waters may pass away by the canal, and their force is neither as unrestrained nor so dangerous. So it happens with fortune, who shows us power where valor had been prepared to resist her, and thither she turns her forces where she knows that the barrier and defenses have not been raised to constrain her. And if you will consider Italy, which is the seat of these changes and which have given to them their impulse, you will see it has been an open country without barriers and without any defense, for it has been defended by proper valor, as are Germany, Spain, France. Either the invasions would not have made the great changes it has made, or it would not have come at all. At this, consider enough to say concerning resistance to fortune is checked. But confining myself more to the particular, I say that the prince may be seen happy today and ruined tomorrow without having shown any change in disposition or character. This, I believe, arises firstly from causes that have already been discussed at length, namely that the prince who relies entirely on fortune is lost when it changes. I believe also that he will be successful who directs his actions according to the spirit of the times, and that he whose actions do not accord with the times you will not be successful. Because men are seen in affairs that lead to the end which every man has before him, namely glory and riches, to get there by various methods, one with caution, another with haste, one with force, another by skill, one with patience, another by the opposite, and each one succeeds in reaching the goal by a different method. One can also see two cautious men, the one attains his end, the other fails. Similarly, two men by different observance are equally successful, the one being conscious and the other impetuous. All this arise from nothing else than whether or not they conform in their methods to the spirit of the times. Changes in estate also issue from this, for it to one who governs himself with caution and patience, times and affairs converge in such a way that his administration is successful. His fortune is made, but at times and affairs change, he is ruined, and he does not change his course of action. But a man is not often found sufficiently circumspect to know how to accommodate himself to the change, both because he cannot deviate from what nature inclines him to do, and also because, having always prospered by acting in one way, he cannot be persuaded that it is well to leave it, and therefore the cautious man, when it's time to turn adventurous, does not know how to do it, hence he is ruined. But had he changed his conduct with the times, fortune would have also changed. Pope Julius II went to work impetuously in all his affairs and found the times and circumstances conformed so well to the line of action that he always met success. Consider his first enterprise against Bologna, Messer Giovanni Bentivoglio being still alive. The Venetians were not agreeable to it, nor was the King of Spain, and he had the enterprise still under discussion with the King of France. Nevertheless, he personally entered upon the expedition with his accustomed boldness and energy, a move which made Spain and Venetians stand irresolute and passive. The latter, from fear in the former from desire to recover the kingdom of Naples. On the other hand, he drew after him the king of France, because that king, having observed the movement and desiring to make the Pope his friend as to humble the Venetians, found it impossible to refuse him. Therefore Julius, with his impetuous action, accomplished what no other pontiff with simple human wisdom could have done, for it had waited in Rome until he could get away with his plans arranged and everything fixed. As any other pontiff would have done, he would never have succeeded, because the king of France would have made 1,000 excuses and the others would have raised 1,000 fears. I will leave this action alone, as they were all alike and they are all succeeded, for shortness of his life did not let him experience the contrary. But if circumstances had risen which required him to go cautiously, his ruin would have followed, because he would never have deviated from those ways in which nature inclined him. I conclude therefore that a fortune being unchangeful and mankind steadfast in their ways, so long as the two are in agreement, men are successful, but unsuccessful when they fall out. For my part, I consider that it is better to be adventurous than cautious, because fortune is a woman, and if you wish to keep her under, it's necessary to beat and ill use her. And it is seen that she allows herself to be mastered by adventurers rather than by those who go to work more coldly. She is therefore always womanlike, a lover of young men, because they are less cautious, more violent, and with more audacity command her. I don't want to discuss this chapter. Moving on to chapter number 26, an exhortation to liberate Italy from the barbarians. Having carefully considered the subject of above discourses, and wondering within myself whether the present times are propitious to a new prince, and whether there are elements that would give an opportunity to wise and virtuous one to introduce a new order of things which would do honor to him and good to the people of his country. It appears to me that so many things concur to favor a new prince that I never knew a time more fit than the present. And if, as I said, it was necessary that the people of Israel should be captive as to make manifest the ability of Moses, that the Persians should be oppressed by the Medes so as to discover the greatness of the soul of Cyrus, and that Athenians should be dispersed to illustrate the capabilities of Theseus, then at the present time, in order to discover the virtue of an Italian spirit, it was necessary that Italy should be reduced to the extremity that she is now in, and she should be more enslaved than the Hebrews, more oppressed than the Persians, more scattered than the Athenians, without head, without order, beaten, spoiled, torn, overrun, and to have endured every kind of desolation. Although lately some spark may have been shown by one, which made us think he was ordained by God for our redemption, nevertheless, it was afterwards seen that in the height of his career that fortune rejected him, so that Italy left as without life. Waits for him who shall yet heal her wounds and put an end to a ravaging and plundering of Lombardy, to the smuggling and taxing of the kingdom and of Tuscany, and cleanse those sores that for long have festered. It is seen how she entreats God to send someone who shall deliver her from those wrongs and barbarous insolencies. It is seen also that she is ready and willing to follow a banner if only someone will raise it. Nor is there to be seen at the present one in whom she can place more hope than in your illustrious house, with its valor and fortune, favor by God and by church, of which it is now the chief, and which could be made the head of redemption. This will not be difficult if you recall yourself the action and lives of the men I have named, and although they were great and wonderful men, they yet were men, and each one of them had no more opportunity than the present offers, for their enterprises were neither more just nor easier than this, nor was God more their friend than he is yours. With us there is great justice, because that war is just which is necessary, and the arms are hallowed when there is no other hope but in them. Here there is the greatest willingness, and where the willingness is greatest, the difficulties cannot be great if you will only follow those men to whom I have directed your attention. Further than this, how extraordinary the ways of God have been manifested beyond example. The sea is divided, a cloud has led the way, the rock has poured forth water, it has rained manna, everything has contributed to your greatness, and you ought to do that rest. God is not willing to do everything and does take away your free will and that share of glory which belongs to you. And it is not to be wondered at if none of the above named Italians have been able to accomplish all that is expected from an illustrious house, and if in so many revolutions in Italy and in so many campaigns it has always appeared as its military virtue were exhausted, this has happened because the old order of things was not good and none of us have known how to find a new one, and nothing honors a man more than to establish new laws and new ordinances when he himself has newly risen. Yet there is great valor in the limbs, whilst it fails in his head, looks attentively at the duels and the hand-to-hand combats. How superior Italians are in strength, dexterity, and subtlety. But when it comes to the armies, they do not bear comparison, and there springs entirely from the insufficiency of their leaders, since those who were capable are not obedient, and each one seems to himself. No, there having never been anyone who distinguished above the rest, either by valor or fortune, that others would heed to them. Hence, it is that for a long time and during so much fighting that the past 20 years, whenever there has been an army wholly Italian, it has always given a poor account of itself. The first witness of this was El Taro, afterwards Alexandria, Capua, Genoa, Vaila, Bologna, and Mestre. If therefore your illustrious house wishes to follow these remarkable men who have redeemed their country, it is necessary before all things, as true foundation for every enterprise, to be provided with your own forces, because they can be no more faithful, truer, or better soldiers. And although singly they are good altogether, they will be much better when they find themselves commanded by their prince, honored by him, and maintained at his expense. Therefore, it is necessary to be prepared with such arms so as to you have defended against foreigners by Italian valor. And although Swiss and Spanish infantry may be considered very formidable, nevertheless, there is a defect in both, by reason of which a third order would not only be able to oppose them, but might be relied upon to overthrow them. For the Spaniards cannot resist cavalry, and Swizzards are afraid of infantry whenever they encounter them in close combat. Owing to this, as has been and may again be seen, Spaniards are unable to resist French cavalry, and Switzerlands are overthrown by Spanish infantry. Although a complete proof of the latter cannot be shown, nevertheless, there is some evidence of this matter. Battle of Ravenna, when the Spanish infantry were confronted by German battalions who follow the same tactics as the Swiss, when the Spaniards, by agility of body and with the aid of their shields, got in under the pikes of Germans, stood out of danger, able to attack, while Germans stood helpless, and if the cavalry had not dashed up, all would have been over with them. This opportunity therefore ought not to allow to pass for letting Italy at last see her liberator appear. Nor can one express the love with which he would be received in all provinces which have suffered so much from their foreign scourings, with what thirst for revenge, with what stubborn faith, with what devotion, with what tears, what doors would be closed to him who would refuse obedience to him, and what envy would hinder him. To all of us this barbarous dominance stings. Let, therefore, your illustrious house take up this charge with the courage and hope with which all such enterprises are undertaken, so that under its standard our native country be ennobled, and under its auspicious may be ennobled, and under its auspicious may be verified that saying of Petrarch: virtue of controlla al furore, prendere l'ram, effil el combater corto, cel antico valore, negli italici, quar un è ancor morto. Virtue against fury shall advance the fight, and it is come back soon shall put to flight. For the old Roman valor is not dead, nor is the Italian's breast extinguished. Edward Darcy had said this in 1640. And so that was it. The book, we have completed it, and I will think that it was fun. Too many episodes for this book, but I think it was an important book. We all should read this once, because yes, they are talking about princes and Europe and the times. So many leaders they have explained, so many points they have discussed. You know what, we can actually use its help and like apply some of them in our professional lives, and you know what, we are going to conquer to the top positions. So that was it for the Prince. We are ending the Prince series today. From next Saturday we are going to start another book. I will see you next time with a new book to devour together. So until next time, keep reading and keep watching.